Hey, Cringe here at GX Aus, where I ran into the Good Game guys again, and this time I spoke to Ronald, who some of you might know from the TV show as Goose. And of course I spoke to him about what it's like working that gig at GG, but also how to try and improve your communication skills as a journalist, or in his case as a field reporter, to the point where you might be able to jump into the games technology media industry.
Like how you just get your foot in the door, that kind of thing. God, I sound like my uni lecturer or something. Please don't let me wank on like anything about this. Let's keep it all grounded, guys.
This is going to go up on YouTube and you're going to be like,
you're not rolling now, eh? So my name is Ronald, and I work on Good Game by the pseudonym Goose, and I'm the field reporter for that show and have been for the last 4 years now.
You've said in the past that clear communication is vital within journalism. How did you work towards clear communication when starting at GG after the cooking gig that you were working before?
Wow, you have done your research. I don't even remember saying that. It was a pretty steep learning curve, to be honest. Jumping from doing sort of web stuff and doing stuff behind the camera to jumping in front of it was a big leap. But fortunately, it was something I was always gravitating towards. So in terms of the communication level of things, the words, look how good I am at it right now. In terms of just being a clear communicator, it's something that you have to obviously do your research for. And it is actually a confidence thing in terms of when you're both sort of doing research for a story and actually out in the field. It's just that confidence to break down that initial, confrontation that might be there when you meet someone or that you're doing an interview, and to just kind of get on a friendly level and just be able to talk naturally. And that is one of the hardest things when it comes to communicating within an office space or even, back at work. Yeah. It's just one of those things that the friendlier you are, generally the easier it is. And fortunately at our office, we have a very friendly team of people working together and we are all mates. So that makes things generally pretty smooth, but there's always going to be speed bumps.
What's been one of the more surprising experiences working at Good Game?
Oh wow, that's a tough one. The most surprising thing is, I would say, the reaction from people who watch the show. You make this stuff in a bit of a silo. You work in this office and you work with your friends and you film the story, you edit the story, you let it out to the world and you think, great, it's done. And then for people to come back and say, hey, I watched that thing you did, and you think, oh yeah, it goes out to the television or it goes out to the internet. The biggest surprise is that, people's reactions, both positive, sometimes not always positive, people do care about this stuff that you also care about. It shouldn't be a surprise, I guess, but it always is. And it's most of the time a nice surprise.
It wasn't too long ago that being taken seriously as a gamer was one of the bigger issues facing the tech and gaming communities. Do you think that this is or isn't the case now, and why?
Look, I think it's always going to be difficult for people who work in the games industry or take gaming beyond just a hobby. It's always going to be difficult for them to justify it to the larger world, because for such a long time gaming has been just that. It has just been a hobby, something as a pastime. It's never going to get to the level of movies. I think there is also this sort of naive thought that people are like, oh, one day gaming will be just as serious as everything else. It is still a fun medium and it does need to not take itself too seriously. The people who work in it do work very hard and they need to be taken seriously. But I think, it's like anything with growth. The industry is massive, the money that's getting poured into it, the public interest that's getting poured into it. I think it's taking baby steps there. And I don't think we should expect a giant leap forward to suddenly be like gaming is the most serious medium out there. Because it is still, when you think about it, it is games and it is fun. And I love games and I love working in the industry.
Ease up.
But yeah, it's always just like the people who fight for it really hard, sometimes I find forget the reason why they got into games in the first place. And I think you've got to keep a balance there.
What advice would you give to someone looking to get their first gig within games media or other journalistic fields?
Well, that's another tough one as well. I mean, there is no clear path.
Yeah.
And anyone who tells you that there is lying, or they haven't been down that path. So I think it's always about, your personality is the biggest thing, because there are a lot of people who are gamers and there are a lot of people who want to get into the industry and make it part of their job. You need to find a way to show the people you want to work with that you are passionate about it. So it's often about not just thinking, oh, I'll wait for a job to pop up, I'll wait for, an opening in the paper, games journalists needed. Never happens. But what does happen is people like yourself making YouTube videos, or writing reviews for themselves, and maybe trying to get them published. And it's also like any career, it's the people you know as well, and it's getting out there and it's meeting those people, because they are a friendly bunch. Even just today, like the amount of people I've bumped into who I've just met over the last few years, which is a short amount of time, who are also supportive. And you have to make the work for yourself, I think. And eventually, if you might get lucky and find a job that will give you that work as well. Mainly it's getting out there and just doing the work for yourself, but being passionate about it, because people will see that passion and they'll pick up on it. And fortune favors the people who go out there and actually do it. Yeah. So stuff like this is good.
Yeah, there you go. That's what you want.
Yeah, exactly. Job at the ABC.
That'd be nice.
But yeah.
That's all good. Thank you so much for your time.
No worries, man. A pleasure. Really appreciate it. Good awkward handshake.
There you go. Yeah, I was like,
yeah, with the code in between.
Just go with it. Whatever. Whatever works. It's off the rails. Great. Thank you so much.
All good?
Yeah.
No worries, man. Pleasure.